Hi, this is Jay Arthur, author of Lean Six Sigma for Hospitals and the QI Macros. A little while ago, I did a video about, top-down leadership of Six Sigma fails half of the time. And that's really comes out of this research book from the Diffusion of Innovations, How Cultures Adopt, Adapt, and Reject Change. And, I said, well, hey, anything leadership-driven fails half the time. That's the Stalinist paradox. You'll find that in this book. Now, having been in an organization that went through the whole top-down thing and failed miserably and seen lots of others fail along the way as well, how do we get Six Sigma to stick inside of an organization? And I mentioned the idea of informal leaders. So inside of any company, there are centers of influence. Might be John or Susie or Karen or Joseph. And these centers of influences, these are the people everybody goes to for how does the big business work. Doesn't matter who the leader is. Leadership comes and goes. Informal leaders stay. And so if we can make the informal leaders successful, guess what? They're going to tell everybody else. And they know all the other informal leaders, and they'll tell the other ones. Right? Now, this can be a very simple, straightforward way of getting things done. And if you read in the Diffusion of Innovations, that's what they did. All the successful ones, they started with some center of influence, made them successful so that other people could see them being successful. They talked it up, and then it spread. All right. Now, I also want to inform you about the dark side of this. Right? Because there are always the curmudgeons who do not want to have anything to do with Six Sigma. They are also centers of influence. If you try and get them on board, right? These are the naysayers, right? They're against it. They'd rather kill it than let it live, right? So if you have a center of influence, and there are those, they will try and kill Six Sigma before it starts. What is your task? Your task is to simply keep them out of the loop, right? Keep them out of the loop. Find the people who want to do it, not the people who don't want to do it. And here's why. And I've done this a number of times over the years, so I have some experience with this. There's somebody who doesn't want to do it. Way back in the way early days, back in the 80s, I was implementing Unix inside of our company. And this was before, everything really kind of got going. This was the early 80s, before PCs really took off and things of that nature. And we had system designers. And the system designers would write their designs out longhand and send them off to a typing pool to be typed up. That's how old I am. All right? And so, but we had one guy who was a center of influence who did not want to use the word processing tools on Unix. I mean, memorandum macros were not that slick, but that's what HTML came out of, was memorandum macro style thinking. So he didn't want anything to do with that. And I said, well, Don, that's okay. You don't have to. You could just see the relief come on. And he didn't want to learn this stuff. But what happened was we found the designers who did want to use this because it made them faster and easier to change and revise and all of that kind of stuff. And that meant that their software projects did well and got finished on time. And guess what? About 9 months later, Don came back to me and says, well, can you teach me how to do that? And I said, sure, absolutely. Right? But I think of the curmudgeons, the naysayers, as like the corporate immune system. They want to kill any invader, whether it's good or bad, whether it's a good transplant or a virus or a bacterium or whatever it is. They just kill it all because they do not want to have to deal with it. All right? So I'm going to invite you that if you want to be successful with your Six Sigma implementation, regardless of what happens to the leadership team, make these people successful. Help them solve problems. And when you do that, they will magically, through word of mouth and word of mouse, tell everyone they know, because that's their job, all right? Seth Godin calls them sneezers, right? They sneeze ideas to other people, and they get infected with the Six Sigma bug, and pretty soon it's a positive reinforcing thing, and it will become part of the culture, whether your leadership is on board or not. On board or not. So that's going to be my encouragement, and then keep the immune system out of the game until they discover that they're falling behind and they want to get involved as well. That's one of the ways that, I'm most concerned that if we count on leadership to be the thing that makes it all work, it'll never stick, right? And if you look across the board, Six Sigma does fail. And sometimes it fails more than, it's like a 1 sigma success rate. That's pretty bad. Why don't we do something about root cause analysis on our own process for implementation and figure out how to fix this? Does this make sense? I think it does. All right, so this is what I would like you to do. Think about these people. And if your leadership supports it, God bless them, right? If your leadership turns over, so what, right? I was a worker bee, right? Leadership is you're never going to get the whole leadership team to be totally on board with everything, except in rare instances. So your task is to go find the people that will support it and make it part of the culture. I'm Jay Arthur. That's my insight for this week. And thanks for all your comments. I think this is a useful discussion for all of us. See you soon.